we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, 100 space mysteries, looping softly, endlessly, through the night. Tonight we'll drift through the hidden world, drifting in the void that astronomers swear should exist, but can't quite prove. The faint cosmic murmur that behaves like a star but refuses to shine like one. The invisible tension stretching space so fiercely that it's quietly reshaping the universe itself. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink. Heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing. Thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself. Shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark. If this helps you rest, tap subscribe, comment, and hit like, so others can find this calm too, but only if your eyes are still open. Otherwise, just drift. Now, let's drift into space. Imagine, somewhere beyond the edge of everything you know, there's a nebula turning so slowly that even if you watched for your entire lifetime, you wouldn't see it move. It's clouds of gas and dust, stretching across light years, spiral in patterns that take millions of years to complete. Thump, thump, one full rotation, lasting longer than mountains rise and fall on Earth. The colours there, reds and purples and deep indigo blues, shifting imperceptibly, like watching paint dry across the canvas of infinity. Heavier, heavier, your eyelids growing heavy as those ancient clouds, drifting, always drifting. Between the galaxies, there is silence, not the silence of a quiet room, but the silence of true emptiness. The space between galaxy clusters, voids so vast that light from one side takes hundreds of millions of years to reach the other. In these cosmic deserts, the temperature drops to just above absolute zero, and the density of matter becomes almost nothing. Almost a single hydrogen atom, floating alone in a space the size of a cathedral. Thump, thump. That loneliness, that stillness, echoing through your breathing now. Slower, slower. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, just floating in the between. There are stars that sleep, brown dwarfs they're called, failed stars, too small to ignite fusion in their cores. They glow faintly with leftover heat from their formation, cooling over billions of years. Their gravity still pulls, still shapes, still holds, but silently, without the violence of fusion, without the burning, just a gentle mass, curving space around it, the way your body curves into the bed, sinking, sinking. These sleeping stars, scattered throughout the galaxy, emitting mostly infrared light, invisible to the naked eye, but there, always there, in the darkness, a single grain of cosmic dust, no larger than the ones floating through the sunlight in your room, begins a journey, born in the atmosphere of a dying red giant star. Blown outward by stellar wind, it drifts for millennia through the interstellar medium. It passes through molecular clouds, accumulates thin layers of ice, water, carbon dioxide, methane. Eventually, perhaps, it becomes part of a new solar system, pressed into a comet or an asteroid, or the core of a planet. That tiny grain, travelling for millions of years, just drifting, the way you're drifting now, heavier, heavier, into sleep. The aurora, that gentle curtain of light dancing in the polar skies, is a conversation between the sun and earth. Solar wind, a stream of charged particles, flows outward from our star, invisible, constant. When these particles reach Earth, they are caught by the magnetic field, channeled toward the poles, where they collide with oxygen and nitrogen in the atmosphere. The oxygen glows green and red, the nitrogen glows blue and purple. Thump, thump. Each collision, a tiny spark of colour, billions of them together, creating those flowing ribbons, that silent light show, playing every night in the far north and far south. While most of the world sleeps, somewhere out there, a moon orbits in perfect silence. Perhaps it circles a gas giant or a distant ice world beyond Neptune. Its orbit is so stable, so circular, so precise, that it's been following the same path for billions of years. No atmosphere to create friction, no tides to slow it down, just the endless falling that is orbit, around and around, thump, thump, like your thoughts, circling, slower now, quieter. The gravity of that sleeping planet holding its moon, the way the darkness holds you now, safe, predictable, eternal, the light reaching your eyes from distant stars, left those stars before you were born. Some of it, from the dimmest stars visible on a dark night, began its journey a century ago. When your great-grandparents were young, or not yet born, that photon, travelling through empty space for 100 years, finally enters your eye and disappears, its journey complete. Every star you see is a ghost from the past, showing you not where it is, but where it was when that light began to travel, heavier, heavier. Time itself, stretching across the cosmos. Space is an ocean, deeper than any water. Astronomers speak of the cosmic ocean, but they mean something different from what you might imagine. It's not made of water, but of vacuum, of quantum fields, of virtual particles appearing and disappearing. The depth of this ocean is measured not in meters, but in megaparsecs. Galaxies float in it like bioluminescent creatures, galaxy clusters like schools of fish, and between them, the deep, empty, quiet places where nothing shines. Thump, thump. You're floating now in your own dark ocean, drifting down, down. The universe is expanding every second. The space between distant galaxies grows larger, not because galaxies are moving through space, but because space itself is stretching, like dots on a balloon being inflated. Each dot moves away from every other dot. The vacuum itself, the nothing between things, is growing. This expansion began 13.8 billion years ago, and it continues, accelerating, driven by something we call dark energy, an invisible pressure pushing outward, everywhere, all at once. The vacuum expanding. The way your awareness expands now, becoming bigger, looser, less defined. There's a sound in space. Not a sound you could hear, but a hum in the electromagnetic spectrum. The cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, fills all of space with microwaves. If your eyes could see these wavelengths, the entire sky would glow, softly, uniformly, in every direction. This radiation has been travelling since the universe was only 380,000 years old. When it was still hot and dense, now it's cooled to just 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. Thump, thump, that ancient warmth, that primordial hum surrounding everything, including you, as you sink deeper into the background, into the static, into sleep. White dwarf stars, the cores of dead stars like our sun, cool slowly, so slowly that the universe isn't old enough for any of them to have cooled completely. They start at hundreds of thousands of degrees, and slowly, over trillions of years, they radiate away their heat. Eventually, in a future so distant it's hard to imagine, they'll become black dwarfs, dark, cold, invisible. But for now, they glow faintly, white or blue-white, growing dimmer, century by century, millennium by millennium. The way your awareness grows dimmer now, thoughts cooling, energy radiating away, heavier, heavier. When astronomers point their telescopes at a tiny patch of empty sky and leave the shutter open for days, they capture what they call a deep field image. Thousands of galaxies appear, each one containing billions of stars, all in a space no bigger than a grain of sand held at arm's length. This is the deep field lullaby, the revelation that everywhere we look, in every direction, in every seemingly empty patch of darkness, there is light, ancient light, from galaxies formed when the universe was young. Thump, thump. The darkness is full, crowded with distant fires, but from here it looks like perfect, peaceful, nothing. On the ice giant planets, Neptune and Uranus, there are shadows, clouds in the upper atmosphere, moved by winds faster than any hurricane on Earth, cast shadows on the cloud layers below. These shadows drift across the face of the planet, enormous, covering areas larger than Earth, but moving slowly, majestically. The sunlight there is 40 times fainter than on Earth, everything bathed in a dim, twilight glow, blue-green, cold. The shadows deepen that twilight, creating pools of darkness, drifting across an ocean of atmosphere, the way darkness drifts across your closed eyelids now, shapes moving, melting, dissolving. Beyond Neptune, past Pluto, lies the Kuiper Belt, a disk of icy bodies, remnants from the formation of the solar system. Millions of objects, some as large as Pluto, most smaller, orbiting in the cold, the dark, separated by vast distances. An explorer crossing the Kuiper belt would spend years, decades, traveling between objects through empty space, seeing only the distant sun, a bright star, not bright enough to read by, just drift and darkness, and the occasional glimpse of a tumbling ice world, passing by, then receding into darkness again. Thump, thump, that drift, that journey through nothing. You're on it now. Quasars, the brightest objects in the universe, are actually echoes from the distant past. Supermassive black holes at the centers of young galaxies, consuming matter, heating it to millions of degrees, creating jets of radiation that outshine entire galaxies. But the quasars we see are billions of light years away, which means we're seeing them as they were billions of years ago, when the universe was young, violent, chaotic. Now, those same black holes are likely dormant, quiet, sleeping. The echo of their fury reaches us softly away from across time and space, heavier, heavier. An ancient roar, arriving now as a whisper, interstellar clouds, vast regions of gas and dust between the stars, drift slowly through the galaxy. They move through the spiral arms, taking millions of years to complete a single orbit around the galactic center. These clouds are where stars are born, but most of the time they simply drift, dark, cold, lit only by starlight scattered through their edges, creating glowing nebulae in some places, but mostly just darkness, drifting. The migration of these clouds, reshaping the galaxy, slowly, so slowly, the way continents drift across Earth, imperceptible but inevitable. You're migrating now towards sleep, slow, inevitable, in deep space, between the stars. There are regions of perfect silence. No radio signals reach there from Earth, no signals from the sun, just the faint, uniform background radiation and occasional cosmic rays passing through. If you could float there in a spacesuit in the middle of nowhere, light years from the nearest star, you would see thousands of stars in every direction, but hear nothing, feel nothing but the cold, and experience a loneliness so complete, so total, that it becomes almost peaceful. Thump, thump. That silence, you can feel it now in the space between your heartbeats and the pause between breaths. Silence, settling. The first light in the universe after the Big Bang came from primordial hydrogen and helium gas, glowing as it cooled. This faint glow, stretched by the expansion of space, is what we now detect as the cosmic microwave background. But before that, for 380,000 years, the universe was opaque, filled with a hot plasma that light couldn't travel through. That primordial gas, that first faint glow, it's still there, all around us, redshifted into microwaves, invisible but present. The oldest light, the first light, cradling the universe, cradling you, as you drift deeper. There are comets that got lost, ejected from their original orbits by gravitational interactions. They wander through the galaxy, some traveling in interstellar space between stars for millions of years before, perhaps by chance, entering another star system. These lost comets, frozen, dormant, carry with them ices from their birth system, water, carbon dioxide, ammonia, memories frozen in their nuclei. They drift in the darkness, waiting for the warmth of a star to wake them. But for now, just drifting, sleeping, the way you're sleeping now, heavier, heavier. Every planet, every moon, every object in space has a magnetic field, or the ghost of one. Earth's magnetic field, generated by the churning of molten iron in its core, creates a protective bubble around the planet, shielding us from solar wind. Some planets, like Jupiter, have magnetic fields thousands of times stronger. Others, like Mars, lost their magnetic fields billions of years ago, leaving only traces in the magnetized rocks of their crust. These invisible fields, stretching through space, channels for particles, guides for solar wind, shaping space around them quietly, invisibly, thump, thump, like the field of your own awareness, expanding, then contracting, then releasing. Near a black hole, time bends. An observer far away, watching something fall toward the event horizon, would see it slow down, taking forever to cross that boundary. From the falling object's perspective, everything proceeds normally, but from outside, time stretches, dilates, approaches infinity. This isn't metaphor, it's geometry. The shape of space-time curves so extremely that the flow of time itself changes. Where gravity is weak, like here on Earth, time flows normally, but near the ultimate nothing, the collapsed nothing of a black hole, time becomes like honey, flowing, slower, slower, the way time feels now as you sink towards sleep, seconds stretching, becoming longer, thicker, heavier. The Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large galactic neighbour, is visible to the naked eye on a dark night. A small, fuzzy patch of light. That light left Andromeda 2.5 million years ago, when early humans were just learning to use stone tools. The photons reaching your eyes tonight began their journey across intergalactic space, before recorded history, before civilization, before agriculture, traveling through the void for 2.5 million years, just to end their journey in your eye, that ancient light connecting you to a galaxy containing 1 trillion stars, all of them distant, unreachable, but somehow present in that faint glow. Thump, thump. Galaxies have structure, spiral arms, where stars are being born, trace patterns through the disk. These aren't rigid structures, like the arms of a pinwheel, but density waves, regions where stars and gas clouds crowd closer together, creating the appearance of arms, the stars themselves. orbit the galactic center, passing through the arms, like cars passing through a traffic jam. The arms persist, even as individual stars move through them. A sleeping galaxy, with its stars orbiting quietly, its arms drifting, turning, slower than slow, taking 200 million years for our sun to complete one orbit. Heavier, heavier. You're orbiting now, around the center of sleep, spiraling inward. The sun emits not just light, but a constant stream of charged particles. The solar wind, this wind, blowing outward in all directions, creates a pressure, subtle but real, on small particles like grains of dust or the tails of comets. This pressure is enough to push them, creating comet tails that always point away from the sun. The stellar wind from other stars does the same throughout the galaxy. This gentle pressure pushing on gas and dust, shaping nebulae, clearing spaces, herding matter like a cosmic breeze, soft, constant, invisible. You can almost feel it now, that gentle pressure encouraging you to let go, to drift, to release. In the cold, outer regions of space, water ice takes on crystalline structures, different from the ice you know, the ice on comets, on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, on Kuiper belt objects, forms in hexagonal crystals, layers of molecules arranged in precise patterns. In the deep cold, near absolute zero, this ice can survive for billions of years, unchanged, preserved. Each crystal, a tiny structure of perfect order in the chaos of space. Thump, thump, like your thoughts, crystallizing, becoming simpler, more ordered, more still. The solar system has a boundary, not a sharp edge, but a region where the solar wind finally stops pushing outward, the heliopause, where the sun's influence ends and interstellar space begins. The Voyager spacecraft crossed this boundary, reporting back a change at the particles detected. Suddenly, instead of particles from the sun, they detected particles from the galaxy at large, from other stars, from the interstellar medium. The boundary is not a wall, but a transition, a gradual fading from one realm to another, the way waking fades, gradually, gradually, into sleep. Humans have named the constellations, patterns of stars that aren't actually related, just appearing close together from our perspective. But the ancient names, the stories attached to them, are mostly forgotten now. Astronomers use them still. Orion, Cassiopeia, Ursa Major, but the myths behind them, the reasons they were named, have faded into obscurity. The stars themselves don't care. They continue their slow drift through the galaxy. Their apparent patterns, from our perspective, will eventually change. Over tens of thousands of years, new constellations will form, and these names, these ancient forgotten stories, will become even more meaningless, heavier, heavier. Everything forgotten, dissolved, like thoughts dissolving into sleep. Dark matter, the invisible mass that holds galaxies together, pulls on everything. We can't see it, can't detect it directly, but we see its effects. Galaxies rotate faster than they should, unless there's more mass than we can see. Galaxy clusters bend light from more distant galaxies, more than the visible matter alone could account for. This invisible substance, making up 85% of all matter in the universe, pulls quietly, constantly, shaping the cosmic web, the large-scale structure of everything. Thump, thump. You can feel it now, that quiet pull toward darkness, toward rest, toward the invisible, inevitable, center of sleep, deep inside some exoplanets, far from any sun. The core heats slowly from radioactive decay, from leftover heat of formation, from the pressure of the planet's own weight. This internal heat rises slowly, taking millions of years to reach the surface. On some worlds, this creates volcanism, plate tectonics. On others, it merely warms the planet slightly, keeping it from cooling to the temperature of space. This slow heating, this deep warmth, rising from within, the way warmth rises in your body now, as your metabolism slows, as you settle, as everything becomes softer, warmer, heavier, gravitational waves as ripples in space-time itself pass through the Earth constantly, caused by colliding black holes, merging neutron stars, cataclysms billions of light years away. These waves stretch and compress space as they pass, by amounts smaller than an atom. We built detectors sensitive enough to feel this, to hear the universe ringing like a bell when massive objects collide. But most gravitational waves are undetectable, too subtle, too faint, just the fabric of space, gently rippling, constantly, imperceptibly, the way water ripples, even when it seems still. You're rippling now, gently, your awareness expanding and contracting in waves, softer, softer, thump, thump. Beyond what we can see, beyond the observable universe, there is more space. There must be. The universe doesn't end at the edge of what we can observe. It continues, possibly forever, possibly repeating, possibly containing everything that could possibly exist. But we can't see it, because light from there hasn't had time to reach us yet. That hidden space, that unreachable beyond, stretches out forever, filled with galaxies we'll never see, stars whose light will never reach Earth, entire cosmic structures, unknown, unknowable, existing in perfect, permanent isolation, the way your deepest thoughts exist in a space that no one else can reach, private, hidden, dissolving now into the beyond. Molecular clouds, the vast dark nebulae where stars form, are composed mostly of molecular hydrogen, H2, with traces of carbon monoxide, water, ammonia, and other simple molecules. These clouds are cold, just 10 or 20 degrees above absolute zero, and dense by space standards. though still far more tenuous than any vacuum we can create on Earth. Inside these clouds, in the darkest, coldest cores, gravity slowly pulls matter together over millions of years until eventually a star ignites. But most of the time, these clouds just are dark, cold, silent, their composition unchanging, waiting, heavier, heavier, like you're waiting now in the darkness, quiet, cold, waiting for nothing, expecting nothing. Around some stars, around some planets, there are tori, donut-shaped rings of gas and dust orbiting in the equatorial plane. These structures, formed by various processes, outflow from a star or material captured by a planet's gravity, glow faintly, illuminated by the star they orbit. The gas in these tori moves slowly, orbiting, taking years or centuries to complete one revolution. The shimmer of this gas, heated by starlight or by collisions within the ring, creates a soft, diffuse glow, barely visible, barely there. Thump, thump, like the thoughts drifting through your mind now, barely visible, barely there, fading. Right now, at this very moment, a star is being born, millions of light years away, in a dark molecular cloud, in a galaxy whose light left long before you were born. Matter is collapsing under its own gravity, heating up, compressing. Eventually it will ignite, fusion will begin, and a new star will shine. But we won't see it for millions of years. The light from that birth, travelling toward us, won't arrive until long after you're gone. Long after everyone you know is gone. That moment, happening now, but invisible, unknowable, existing in a present we can't access, only in a future that will one day be past, everything, flowing, like time itself, flowing through you, past you, carrying you downstream, heavier, heavier. There are planets without stars, rogue planets, ejected from their birth systems by gravitational interactions, drifting through the galaxy, alone, in the dark. These worlds, some perhaps Earth-sized, some larger, receive no warmth from a sun, only the faint background radiation of space, and whatever internal heat remains from their formation. They wander through the interstellar medium, taking millions of years to cross from one star system to another, perhaps never to be captured, never to orbit again, just drifting endlessly through the cold, the dark, the silence. Thump, thump, drifting like you're drifting now, untethered, free, floating in darkness. The cosmic web, the large-scale structure of the universe, forms filaments, long strings of galaxies, connected by invisible threads of dark matter and gas, stretching between galaxy clusters. These filaments, hundreds of millions of light years long, shimmer faintly with the light of countless galaxies, creating a web-like pattern that looks, from a great enough distance, like neurons in a brain or frost on a window. The galaxies within these filaments, Move slowly along them, following the gravitational channels, the rivers of dark matter, flowing, drifting, forever. The shimmer of that cosmic web, too vast to comprehend, too beautiful to look away from, drawing you in, deeper, heavier. The event horizon of a black hole, that point of no return, is perhaps the calmest place in the universe. From the outside, it appears to be a sphere of perfect darkness, unchanging, eternal. Nothing escapes, not even light, so nothing disturbs the stillness of that boundary. Time itself, from the perspective of a distant observer, stops at the horizon, events frozen, forever, in the moment before they cross over. That calm, that stillness, that horizon between being and non-being, you're approaching it now. The event horizon of consciousness, where wakefulness ends and sleep begins, heavier, heavier, crossing over. Binary star systems, two stars orbiting each other, dance through space, bound by mutual gravity. They might orbit close, completing a revolution in hours or days, or far apart, taking centuries. The dance is silent, perfect, each star falling toward the other, but always missing, creating instead an eternal orbit. Some binaries are so close they touch, sharing material between them, creating a peanut-shaped system. Others are so far apart they barely interact. Just two stars, happening to move through space together, circling, always circling. Thump, thump, like your thoughts circling now, slower, wider, losing coherence, losing connection, but still moving, still dancing, until they stop. When a massive star explodes in a supernova, it leaves behind a remnant, a cloud of gas expanding outward, glowing from the energy of the explosion, enriched with heavy elements forged in that final moment. These remnants, like the Crab Nebula, expand for thousands of years, gradually fading, mixing with the interstellar medium, returning their elements to space, where they might one day become part of a new solar system. The glow of these newborn remnants, these echoes of stellar death, is beautiful. Green and blue and red, false color images from different wavelengths, showing oxygen, sulfur, hydrogen, all drifting outward, expanding, dissolving, the way your thoughts dissolve now, heavier, heavier, expanding into nothing. The solar wind, that stream of charged particles from the sun, creates storms in space, interplanetary storms. When these particles interact with planetary magnetic fields, they create auroras, radiation belts, magnetic substorms. But between the planets, the storms are invisible, just fluctuations in particle density, in magnetic field strength, measured only by spacecraft. The faint trail of these disturbances, rippling outward from the sun, washing over the planets, bending around their magnetic fields, creating turbulence in the solar system. Turbulence you'd never know existed unless you looked with the right instruments. Everything invisible, everything silent, everything hidden, like the processes of your body now, breathing, heartbeat, all continuing while you drift away from awareness, from noticing Saturn's rings. Those magnificent structures are not solid, but composed of billions of ice particles, ranging from grain-sized to house-sized. Each particle follows its own orbit, creating the appearance of rings, the shepherd moons. Small moons orbiting near the rings use their gravity to keep the rings in place, preventing them from spreading. The arc of this distant ring system, visible through a telescope from Earth, glows softly with reflected sunlight. The rings are thin, incredibly thin, sometimes only 30 feet from top to bottom, despite being hundreds of thousands of miles wide, like paper, like a whisper, like the thin boundary between waking and sleeping that you're crossing now. Thump, thump, crossing over magnetaires, neutron stars with magnetic fields trillions of times stronger than Earth's, spin slowly compared to other neutron stars, rotating once every few seconds or even every few minutes. The immense magnetic field creates intense radiation, X-rays and gamma rays. But between the bursts, there is silence, the slow spin, the patient rotation of an object the size of a city, but with the mass of a star, creates rhythms, pulses, detectable across thousands of light years, but mostly it's just there, spinning quietly in the darkness, its magnetic field reaching out into space, invisible, powerful, pulling on nothing, affecting nothing, just being heavier, heavier. You're spinning too, slower now, almost stopped. Pulsars, rapidly spinning neutron stars, emit beams of radiation from their magnetic poles. As they spin, these beams sweep across space like lighthouse beams. If Earth happens to be in the path, we detect regular pulses. Some pulses pulse hundreds of times per second, others just once every few seconds. The lonely pulsar, isolated in space, far from any companion star, pulses into the void, its signals travelling outward in all directions, received by no one until perhaps millions of years later. The beam happens to sweep across a planet with receivers. The pulse, the regular pulse, thump, thump, like a heartbeat, like your heartbeat, slowing, slowing, the rhythm of the universe pulsing through you, between galaxy clusters, in the spaces where the cosmic web is thinnest. There is dust, intergalactic dust, individual grains separated by thousands of miles, drifting through the void. This thin veil, barely detectable, dims the light from distant galaxies, just slightly. Astronomers must account for it when measuring cosmic distances, but the dust itself, it's almost nothing, a trace, a hint, a suggestion of matter in what is otherwise essentially empty space. That thinness, that barely their quality, like your thoughts now, thinning out, becoming transparent, barely present, barely anything at all. Some galaxies are dying. Their star formation has ceased. Their gas has been stripped away, or heated too much to collapse and form new stars. These dying galaxies, often elliptical galaxies, are filled with old, red stars, slowly fading. No new stars are born to replace them. The cold breath of these galaxies, their slow decline into darkness, takes billions of years. You'd never notice it, watching for a human lifetime. But on cosmic timescales, they're cooling, fading, approaching their end, like everything, temporary, even galaxies, even stars, even consciousness, fading, cooling, heavier, heavier into the cold. In stellar nurseries, in the densest parts of molecular clouds, protostars form. They haven't begun fusion yet. They're still collapsing, still heating up. These young objects, shrouded in dust, emit only infrared light. They're invisible to optical telescopes, but to infrared instruments, they glow. The murmur of these collapsing protostars, the slight brightening as they contract, the wobbles from material falling onto them, creates variations in brightness. Murmurs in the infrared, barely detectable, like whispers, like distant conversations you can't quite hear, fading in and out like consciousness, murmuring, fading, thump, thump. At the intersections of cosmic web filaments, where multiple strands of galaxies meet, there is hidden mass, concentrations of dark matter and gas, too diffuse to form galaxies, but massive nonetheless. These nodes in the cosmic web shape the flow of matter on the largest scales, pulling on galaxy clusters, affecting their motion, but the mass itself is invisible, inferred only from its gravitational effects, hidden but present, influencing everything, like the hidden processes of your mind, influencing your dreams, your sleep, your breathing, all happening without your awareness, without your control, just happening, heavier, heavier. In the outer solar system, some moons of Jupiter and Saturn, covered in ice, are slowly thawing, not from the sun's heat, which is faint out there, but from tidal heating, the gravity of their parent planets, squeezing and releasing them as they orbit, generates heat through friction. This heat, accumulated over millions of years, has melted ice beneath the surface, creating subsurface oceans. The slow thaw of these frozen worlds, the gradual warming of water that has been ice for billions of years, happens in darkness, beneath miles of ice, unseen, unknown, except through inference, like memories thawing in the moments before sleep, fragments rising, then dissolving back into ice, back into cold, back into forgetting. The light from the most distant galaxies, visible in deep field images, is ancient. So ancient that we see these galaxies as they were when the universe was less than 1 billion years old. These galaxies are small, irregular, intensely forming stars. They're building themselves, creating their first generations of stars. These ancient starlight shifted so far to the red by the expansion of space that it appears as infrared light now, carries information from an era we can barely understand. The pale drift of this ancient light, travelling for 13 billion years just to reach us, to show us the past, is like memory, like ancient memory, drifting through time, fading, but still present, still there. Thump, thump. If you look, if you remember, at your forgetting now, drifting past memory, past light, past time, brown dwarves, those failed stars, some wander through space alone, ejected from binary systems or born in isolation. The haze around these wandering brown dwarves, clouds in their atmospheres, creates complex weather patterns, storms of molten iron rain, temperature variations from pole to equator, layers of different chemical compounds creating banded structures, like Jupiter, but dimmer, cooler. These objects, radiating mostly in infrared, are invisible to the naked eye, but through infrared telescopes, they appear hazy, indistinct, surrounded by their own heat, slowly radiating into the cold, like warmth radiating from your body now into the cool air, your temperature dropping, your metabolism slowing, everything cooling, heavier, heavier. In the far future, when all the stars have died, the universe will be dominated by superclusters, vast collections of galaxy clusters, but even these will fade as galaxies dim, as stars burn out. Eventually, the observable universe will contain only black holes and dim remnants. The dim flicker of this fading supercluster, this glimpse of the far future, is something we can model but never see. The universe will grow dark, cold, empty, over trillions upon trillions of years. But that's so far away, so impossibly distant, that it's like a dream, like your dreams now. Distant, impossible, fading before they form, dissolving into darkness. Neutrinos, nearly massless particles, were created in enormous numbers in the first moments of the Big Bang. These relic neutrinos, cooled by the expansion of space, drift through the universe. There are billions of them in every cubic meter of space, passing through you, through the Earth, through everything, without interaction. They carry no charge, barely interact with matter. The slow drift of these relic neutrinos, remnants from the birth of everything, is invisible, undetectable. They flow through you right now as you drift towards sleep, ghostly, ancient particles from the beginning of time, passing through, leaving no trace. Thump, thump, like thoughts, like moments, passing through, leaving nothing. Around young stars, disks of gas and dust orbit, protoplanetary disks, where planets will eventually form. But these disks have gaps, cleared by forming planets. The quiet swirl of material in these gaps, where a planet is sweeping up debris, creating a clearing in the disk, happens slowly, over millions of years, The gas and dust, forced outward or inward by the planet's gravity, leaves a dark band visible in high-resolution images. These gaps, these absences, these empty places speak of something forming, something growing, something becoming. But all you see is the gap, the emptiness, the quiet space, like the quiet space in your mind now. Empty, becoming more empty, heavier, heavier. When galaxies collide, when they merge, tidal streams form, long arcs of stars pulled out from the galaxies by gravitational interactions. These streams, stretching across hundreds of thousands of light years, glow softly, starlight from stolen stars. The soft glow along these tidal streams marks the violence of galactic collision, but the glow itself is gentle, beautiful even, like fireworks reflected in water, the beauty of destruction, transformed by distance, by time, into something peaceful. The stars in these streams will eventually settle into the merged galaxy, finding new orbits, new homes, but for now, they drift along their tidal stream, homeless, unanchored, like you now, drifting, unanchored, cosmic voids. The largest structures in the universe are vast regions with very few galaxies. These voids, hundreds of millions of light years across, are not completely empty, but nearly so. The breathless calm inside these voids, where the galaxy density is less than 1/10 of the cosmic average, is profound. An observer inside a cosmic void would see galaxies only as faint smudges on the horizon, in every direction, but far away, very far away. The loneliness of such a place, the empty, silent vastness, is almost peaceful, almost like floating in sensory deprivation. No input, no stimulation, just being in the void. You're entering your own void now, a place of no stimulation, no thought, no sensation, just darkness, emptiness. Thump, thump, the void of sleep. The heliopause, the boundary of the sun's influence, is not a static surface, but a dynamic, shifting region. The solar wind pushes outward, the interstellar medium pushes back, the boundary between them, marked by a change in particle populations, moves in and out, responding to the solar cycle. The veil of particles near this boundary, mixing, colliding, creates a complex transition region, neither fully solar nor fully interstellar, a liminal space, a threshold between one realm and another, like the threshold you're on now, between waking and sleeping, neither one nor the other, balanced, teetering, ready to fall, heavier, heavier, crossing the boundary into the other side. From supermassive black holes, from the centers of active galaxies, jets of material shoot outward near the speed of light. These jets, powered by the rotational energy of the black hole or by magnetic fields, extend for thousands, sometimes millions of light years. The gentle twist of these distant jets as they spiral through space, following magnetic field lines, creates helical patterns visible in radio images. The jets themselves, mostly empty space with a thin stream of high-energy particles, appear almost like smoke, like a distant chimney. The twist, the spiral, the gentle curve draws your eye, draws your attention, spiraling down, following the curve, around and around, deeper, deeper, heavier. In some regions of space, stars are forming at a rapid rate. Starburst regions, where conditions are right for many stars to ignite nearly simultaneously. The faint spark of these forming dwarf galaxies, small galaxies with intense star formation, glimmers in deep sky images. These galaxies, often irregular in shape, blue with the light of young hot stars, are factories of starlight. But even in these regions, the actual moment of star formation, when fusion begins in a collapsing core, is hidden, shrouded in dust. The spark happens in darkness, and only later, when the young star clears away its birth cloud, does the light escape, the hidden spark, the secret moment of ignition. Like the moment you can't quite remember when you fell into sleep. Thump, thump, matter falls into black holes, but slowly, spiraling inward in an accretion disk, heating up as it falls, emitting radiation. The long fall into a silent accretion disk around a supermassive black hole can take thousands of years as the material slowly spirals closer and closer, eventually crossing the event horizon, disappearing forever. During this fall, the matter glows, X-rays and ultraviolet light, making accretion disks some of the brightest objects in the universe. But from the perspective of the falling matter, the journey is peaceful, inevitable, just falling, always falling. Like you're falling now, slowly, inevitably, into sleep. The long fall, accepting, releasing, heavier, heavier. The solar wind, blowing outward from the sun, encounters planetary magnetospheres, creating complex interactions. The whisper of solar wind across Earth's magnetosphere, bending the magnetic field lines, compressing them on the day side, stretching them on the night side, creates currents and auroras and radiation belts. This whisper, this gentle but constant pressure, shapes the environment around every planet with a magnetic field, protecting some, eroding the atmospheres of others. The whisper, barely there, but persistent, like white noise, like ocean waves, like the sound of your own breathing, constant, fading, becoming background, becoming nothing. Just whisper, just sound, just breath. Asteroids in space, orbiting the sun, bombarded by solar wind, by cosmic rays, by micrometeoroids, slowly erode. The patient erosion of an asteroid's surface, weathering its rocks, darkening its surface, takes millions of years. The surface changes, slowly, imperceptibly, atoms knocked away one by one. The patience of this process, the slowness, reflects the timelessness of space. Nothing hurries, nothing rushes, everything happens in its own time, like sleep. coming in its own time, not forced, not rushed, just arriving when it arrives, heavier, heavier, patient, inevitable. Asteroids in space, orbiting the sun, bombarded by solar wind, by cosmic rays, by micrometeoroids, slowly erode. The patient erosion of an asteroid's surface, weathering its rocks, darkening its surface, takes millions of years. The surface changes, slowly, imperceptibly, atoms knocked away one by one. The patience of this process, the slowness, reflects the timelessness of space. Nothing hurries, nothing rushes, everything happens in its own time, like sleep, coming in its own time, not forced, not rushed, just arriving when it arrives, heavier, heavier, patient, inevitable. On Saturn's moon Titan, beneath an orange haze atmosphere, there are lakes, but not of water, of liquid methane and ethane. These frozen methane lakes, under alien twilight, reflect the dim sunlight filtered through Titan's thick atmosphere, creating a landscape both familiar and utterly strange. Lakes, shores, islands, but made of materials that would be gas on Earth, existing because Titan is so cold, so far from the sun, that methane is liquid, the twilight there perpetual. The sun appearing only as a bright spot through the haze creates a mood, melancholy, quiet, like dusk that never ends, like the twilight of consciousness, the dimming, the fading of awareness into sleep. Thump, thump, dark energy, the mysterious force accelerating the expansion of the universe, forms an invisible lattice, not physical, but geometric, woven into the fabric of space itself. This lattice, if we could see it, would show space itself, stretching, pulling, growing, in all directions at once. The invisible lattice of dark energy accounts for 68% of all energy in the universe. Yet, we don't know what it is, only what it does. It pushes, gently, but relentlessly, making the universe expand faster and faster, everything moving apart, galaxies receding, space growing, like your thoughts, moving apart, losing connection, expanding into nothing, heavier, heavier, in stable orbits, sharing their paths with larger planets, are Trojan asteroids, trapped at the Lagrange points, where gravitational forces balance. These asteroids, leading and trailing Jupiter and Neptune and other planets, perform a slow waltz, orbiting the Sun, while also orbiting the Lagrange point in a complex choreography. The dance is eternal, stable for billions of years. Unless disturbed by outside forces, they drift in formation, never leaving their designated space, forever trapped, but peacefully so, in a region of perfect balance, like balance, in your body now, everything finding its level, its stable point, its place of rest, drifting in formation with your breath, your heartbeat, everything synchronized, heavier. When two neutron stars collide, When they merge, they create something called a kilonova, an explosion, releasing gold, platinum, heavy elements, forged in that instant of collision. The distant lantern of this kilonova afterglow, fading over weeks and months, glows in infrared, in optical light, in radio waves, painting a picture of cosmic alchemy. From Earth, billions of light years away, we watch this lantern, this distant signal, growing dimmer, dimmer, like a candle in a window, seen from miles away, slowly going out. The glow, orange and red, fading to darkness, like your thoughts, like the light behind your eyes, fading, going out, heavier, heavier, thump, thump, the lantern dims, and you dim with it, drifting into darkness. The sun's heliosphere, that bubble of solar wind pressing against the interstellar medium, has a boundary, thin, delicate. The thin membrane of this heliosphere boundary, separating what is solar from what is interstellar, flexes and moves, breathing with the solar cycle. When the sun is active, the boundary expands. When quiet, it contracts. This membrane, invisible, intangible, marks a threshold, like skin, separating inside from outside, self from other. The membrane, so thin, barely there, but crucial, essential, like the membrane between waking and sleeping, so thin now, so permeable, thoughts leaking through, awareness seeping out, the boundary dissolving, thinning, until there's no separation, no inside or outside, just one continuous darkness, heavier, heavier. There are moons orbiting too close to their planets, inside what's called the Roche limit, where tidal forces exceed the moon's own gravity. The slow tide that tears a moon apart pulls harder on the near side than the far side, stretching, deforming, eventually over millions of years. The moon breaks, becomes a ring, particles orbiting individually, the tide pulling, relentless, patient, inevitable, like sleep pulling at you now, gentle but insistent. You can resist for a while, but the tide always wins, always pulls you apart, dissolves you into separate pieces, separate thoughts, separate moments, until you're no longer one thing, but many or nothing, just particles orbiting in the dark. Thump, thump, the tide pulls and you surrender, heavier. In the early universe, in the moments after the Big Bang, tiny black holes may have formed, primordial black holes, smaller than atoms. Some of them, these black holes, if they exist, would be evaporating now through Hawking radiation, slowly, over billions of years. The ghost light of these annihilating primordial black holes, so faint, so rare, has never been detected. But if one evaporated nearby, in the final moment, it would release a burst of gamma rays, a flash, then nothing. The ghost light from something that may not even exist, from a theory, from mathematics, is like the light of memories that may never have been real, flickering in the darkness of sleep. False memories, dream memories, ghost memories, appearing, then vanishing, leaving no trace. Heavier, heavier. The ghosts flicker and fade, and you fade with them. Jupiter, with its powerful magnetic field, creates radio storms, bursts of radio waves, triggered by the moon Io, by the interaction of Jupiter's magnetosphere with the solar wind. These storms, inaudible to human ears, but detectable with radio telescopes, sound like static, like interference. The soft static of these Jovian radio storms, crackling across millions of miles, is the sound of a planet, breathing in radio frequencies. The static, chaotic, unpredictable, but somehow soothing, like white noise, like rain on a roof, like the static between stations, between thoughts, between moments of consciousness. The static grows, fills everything, until all you hear, all you feel is static, soft, enveloping, pulling you under, thump, thump, heavier, on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, beneath the surface, beneath the dunes of hydrocarbon sand. There may be caves, caverns formed in water ice, by some ancient process, now hidden, sealed. The crystalline caves beneath Titan's dunes, if they exist, would be lined with ice, not water ice alone, but mixed with ammonia, with methane, creating structures, alien, beautiful, untouched by any light, for billions of years. In these caves, if you could visit, you'd find silence, absolute, no wind, no sound, no movement, just crystals, growing slowly, molecule by molecule, in the dark, in the cold, forever. The caves, waiting, in darkness, like the caves of your unconscious mind. Deep structures, hidden, where dreams form, where memories hide. Everything, crystalline, everything, preserved, everything, sleeping, heavier, heavier. Brown dwarfs, those failed stars, sometimes have auroras, created by charged particles, interacting with their magnetic fields, just like Earth's auroras, but different. The faint blush of aurorae on a brown dwarf, glowing in infrared, in wavelengths invisible to human eyes, creates bands of light. Around the poles of these dim objects, the blush, barely there, fainter than anything you could imagine, marks the presence of magnetic fields, of charged particles, of processes continuing, even on a star that failed to ignite. The blush, like the flush of blood in your cheeks, fading now as your circulation slows, as your body cools, preparing for sleep, everything blushing, then fading, then cooling, then still, thump, thump, heavier. Every star has a lifetime. Stars like the sun burn for 10 billion years, then begin to die. The long goodbye of a retiring main sequence star takes millions of years. First, the star swells, becoming a red giant, consuming its inner planets. Then, it sheds its outer layers, creating a planetary nebula. Finally, only the core remains, a white dwarf, cooling forever. The goodbye, so long, so gradual, that you'd never notice it, watching for a human lifetime. But it's happening, always happening. Stars are always in some stage of their goodbye. Like consciousness, always in some stage of letting go, each night rehearsing the final goodbye that will come someday, but not tonight. Tonight is just practice, just temporary, just sleep. Heavier, heavier. The star says goodbye, and you say goodbye to waking. When galaxies collide, when they pass through each other, the dance is choreographed by gravity, by dark matter, by mathematics. The hidden choreography of galactic collisions, invisible when watching a single moment, becomes clear when simulated, when time is compressed. The galaxies approach, intertwine, separate, return, merge. Their stars rarely collide. Space is too empty, but their shapes deform, stretch, create tidal tails, spiral arms, disrupted structures. The choreography, complex, beautiful, violent and graceful, all at once, takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. Like the choreography of your breath, your heartbeat, your brain waves as you fall asleep. Everything synchronized, everything dancing to rhythms you don't control, don't choose, just follow. Thump, thump, heavier. The dance continues without you as you drift away in the far future. In trillions upon trillions of years, the universe will approach heat death. All stars will have burned out, all black holes evaporated, all matter decayed. The breathless stillness at the universe's heat death horizon, a state of maximum entropy, when nothing changes, nothing moves, nothing happens ever again, is the ultimate silence, the ultimate peace. Nothing left to do, nothing left to be, just existence, without event, without time, without meaning. That stillness, that final stillness, is so far away, so impossibly distant, that it's like the stillness of sleep, which seems eternal when you're in it, but is really just temporary, just a pause before waking. But for now, it feels eternal, the stillness spreading through your body, through your mind, heavier, heavier, breathless, still. Some stars explode as supernovae, but aren't massive enough to leave behind a black hole. Instead, they leave a neutron star, incredibly dense, spinning rapidly. These stellar remnants, no larger than a city, contain more mass than the sun, the weight of 1 billion elephants compressed into a sugar cube. That density, that impossible compression, creates strange physics, strange states of matter, everything pressed together so tight that atoms themselves collapse, like your thoughts compressed in sleep, losing detail, losing separation, pressing together into single, simple, dense feelings, heavy, so heavy, compressed, until there's no space left between anything. everything, touching everything else. No boundaries, no separation, just density, just weight pulling down, down, heavier, heavier, thump, thump. In some planetary nebulae, in the expelled shells of dying stars, there are knots, dense clumps of gas. These knots, shaped by magnetic fields, by stellar wind, by turbulence, create intricate structures, like tangled thread, like rope, coiled and twisted. The knots, moving outward with the expanding nebula, slowly untangle or tighten further over thousands of years, like the knots in your muscles, in your shoulders, in your jaw, slowly untangling now, loosening, releasing as you sink deeper. The tension, held for so long, finally letting go. The knots in space, in your body, in your mind, all loosening, dissolving, becoming smooth, becoming soft, heavier, heavier. There are asteroids in the asteroid belt that are binary. 2 asteroids orbiting each other. Their mutual orbit, their shared center of mass, creates a system where neither is primary, neither is moon. They're equals, partners, circling each other for billions of years. The partnership, stable, eternal, predictable, like breath and heartbeat, circling each other in your body, neither leading, neither following, just synchronized, just there, together. The asteroids circle, and your breath and heartbeat circle, slower now, wider orbits, longer periods, until the orbit is so slow, so wide, that it's almost, not moving, almost, still, thump, thump, heavier, circle, and still, and sleep. Comets, when they approach the sun, heat up. Gas erupts from their surfaces, jets of vapor, creating the coma, the atmosphere around the nucleus. These jets, triggered by sunlight, by rotation, by the comet's composition, shoot outward, then slow, then drift, like breath, like sighs, like the sigh you take now, releasing, releasing. The comet sighs, vapor into space, and you sigh, tension into air, everything, releasing, everything, evaporating, lighter, but somehow heavier. The paradox of letting go, feeling lighter and heavier at once. Thump, thump. The comet drifts, and you drift. Both. Lighter. Both. Heavier. Both. Free. In deep space. Far from any star. Particles of interstellar dust collide occasionally. When they do, they sometimes stick, building larger grains. The slow accretion, over millions of years, creates pebbles, then rocks, then asteroids. Everything, built from nothing, from random collisions, from patience, from time, like memories accumulating, grain by grain, moment by moment, building into something. But in sleep, the process reverses. Memories fragmenting, breaking apart, dust, scattering, until there's nothing left, just dust, drifting, separate, alone, heavier, heavier, everything, breaking down, returning to dust, to emptiness, to peace. Some planets in other star systems orbit backward, retrograde orbits, going the opposite direction from their star's rotation. These worlds, disturbed sometime in their past by gravitational interactions, by collisions, now move against the flow, different, isolated, alone in their motion, like a thought, moving against the current of sleep, trying to stay awake, trying to hold on. But the current is strong, too strong. Eventually, even retrograde thoughts slow, stop, reverse, and join the flow towards sleep, toward darkness, toward nothing. The backward planet orbits alone, but it orbits nonetheless, pulled by gravity, by inevitability, by forces too strong to resist. Thump, thump, heavier. You stop resisting and join the flow. Gas giants, like Jupiter and Saturn, have zones and belts, bands of clouds, moving in opposite directions. The shear between these bands creates vortices, storms, eddies, everything. Turbulent, chaotic. But from a distance, from far enough away, the chaos looks peaceful, organized, beautiful, like thoughts, turbulent up close, chaotic, stormy. But from the distance of sleep, from far enough away, they're just patterns, just colours, just beautiful. The chaos softening with distance, with perspective, with drowsiness, everything becoming simpler, prettier, quieter as you drift farther away, heavier, heavier. The storms still raging, but silent now, distant now, beautiful and irrelevant. In nebulae, in the clouds where stars are born, there are Bok globules, small dark clouds, dense, opaque. These globules, blocking the light from stars behind them, appear as dark spots in glowing nebulae. Inside these globules, in the darkness, stars are forming, or will form, eventually. The darkness, pregnant with potential, with future light, is like sleep, dark, but not empty, not nothing, but everything, waiting, ready to become something when morning comes. But for now, just dark, just potential, just waiting. Thump, thump, heavier. The globule floats, dark and dense, and you float, dark and dense, both waiting, both ready, both still. Exoplanets, thousands of them discovered now, come in varieties as we never imagined. Hot Jupiters, super Earths, mini Neptunes, worlds of lava, worlds of diamond, worlds of water, worlds of iron. The diversity, the strangeness, the impossibilities of these worlds expands our understanding, but also makes us sleepy. So many worlds, so many possibilities, too many to hold in one mind. The information overflowing, spilling out of consciousness into dreams where it can be anything, everything, nothing. Heavier, heavier. So many worlds, and you're leaving this one, drifting to another, in dreams, in sleep, thump, thump, and now you're drifting between sections, between thoughts, between moments, everything flowing like water, like time, like consciousness itself. The space between part 2 and part 3 is like the space between heartbeats, between breaths, between moments of being empty but full, silent but speaking, dark but somehow lit from within, heavier, heavier, thump, thump. You're in the between, the transition, the threshold, and on the other side, waiting, is deeper sleep, deeper darkness, deeper peace. Let's drift there now, together, through the threshold, into part 3, heavier, heavier, drifting, always drifting, on planets tidally locked to their stars. One side always faces the star, the other always dark. Between these extremes, at the terminator, the boundary between day and night, there is a region of eternal twilight, the heat shimmer above this tidally locked world, where hot air from the day side meets cold air from the night side, creates perpetual storms, winds that never stop, the shimmer, the distortion, the boundary between, like the boundary you're crossing now, between states, between waking and sleeping, wavering, shimmering, then settling into one side, the dark side, the sleeping side, heavier, heavier, thump, thump. Some moons in the outer solar system have no atmosphere, their surfaces exposed directly to space. Occasionally, a micrometeoroid impacts, vaporizing a tiny bit of surface material, creating a momentary puff of gas. On some moons, like Europa or Enceladus, ice sublimates directly into space, creating the faintest hint, the faint scent of ozone, of water vapor. But there's no one there to smell it, no one to notice, just molecules escaping into vacuum, drifting away, joining the thin exosphere, then escaping entirely into interplanetary space, like thoughts escaping, drifting away, leaving your mind evaporating into nothing. The moon, Earth's moon, is geologically active, even though it appears dead. Deep beneath the surface, in the regolith, moonquakes occur, caused by tidal stresses from Earth, by thermal expansion and contraction, by the slow cooling of the lunar interior. The tremor of these moonquakes, too subtle to feel on the surface, propagates through the solid moon, ringing it like a bell for hours after each quake. That subtle tremor, that barely there vibration, deep beneath a lifeless surface, is like the processes of your sleeping body, subtle, unconscious, continuing while you're unaware. Everything still moving, still processing, deep beneath awareness. Thump, thump. Comets have tails, 2 of them, a dust tail that curves, following the comet's orbit, and an ion tail, made of charged particles, that always points directly away from the sun. The silver thread of this ion tail, glowing blue from charged carbon monoxide and water, stretches millions of miles behind the comet, but it's so tenuous, so thin that you could fly through it and barely notice, like spider silk, visible only when light catches it, otherwise invisible, barely there. The thread stretching, thinning like consciousness, stretching thinner, thinner, until it's barely there at all. On Mars, beneath the surface, there are lava tubes, caves formed by ancient volcanic activity. Inside these tubes, it's silent, dark, unchanged for millions of years. The hush inside these Martian caves, protected from radiation, from meteorites, from the thin atmosphere, is total, complete. No wind reaches there, no sound, no light, just darkness and stillness, and the slow accumulation of dust settling over epochs. That hush, you can feel it now, in your own inner space, the quiet growing, deeper, more complete, heavier, heavier, until there's nothing but hush. In the rings of Saturn, some particles are made of water ice, coated in organic molecules. When sunlight hits these particles, some wavelengths are absorbed, others scattered, creating the colors we see. But there's something else. Some ring particles contain tritium, radioactive hydrogen, created by cosmic ray impacts. This tritium, decaying with a half-life of 12 years, glows faintly, imperceptibly, with beta radiation. The glow of tritium in those ring particles, invisible, undetectable except by instrumentation, is like the glow of metabolism in your cells, continuing even as you sleep, energy being released, slowly, constantly, invisibly, keeping you alive, keeping you warm while you drift away from knowing. Thump, thump. Around some massive star, the intense radiation and stellar wind pushes on the surrounding interstellar medium, creating bubbles hundreds of light years across. Inside these bubbles, the gas is hot, tenuous, almost empty. The slow bloom of these interstellar bubbles, expanding at speeds of tens of kilometers per second, which seems fast, but on these scales is incredibly slow, takes millions of years, like a flower opening, in extreme slow motion. The bloom, the expansion, the growth, happening, but imperceptibly, like your awareness, slowly blooming into dreams, expanding, but so slowly you don't notice the transition from waking to sleeping. Heavier, heavier. Carbon planets, theoretical worlds with more carbon than oxygen, would have mantles made of diamond, graphite, silicon carbide, instead of the silicates we know. The cold fire of these carbon planets, their interiors under immense pressure, forming crystalline structures, glowing only with internal heat, would be invisible from outside. These worlds, if they exist, would be so different from anything we know that they seem almost magical, like dreams, constructed from different rules, different physics, different logic. The cold fire, burning but not consuming, glowing, but not warming, like the fire of imagination in your sleeping mind. Burning cold, burning dark, heavier, gamma ray bursts, the brightest events in the universe, release more energy in seconds than the sun will release in its entire lifetime. These bursts, caused by collapsing massive stars or colliding neutron stars, send out beams of gamma rays that travel across the universe. The echo of these bursts, arriving at Earth after traveling billions of years, is detectable only by satellite instruments. By the time it reaches us, the fury has faded, become just an echo, a memory of violence, translated by distance into something almost peaceful. The echo, fading, like anger fading, like intensity fading, everything fading, with distance, with time, into quiet, into calm. Thump, thump. Some asteroids travel in resonant orbits. Their orbital period a simple ratio of another object's period. These resonances, like musical intervals, create patterns, the silent shepherding of these resonant orbits. The way Neptune's gravity organizes the Kuiper belt, creating gaps and concentrations, is like an invisible hand arranging things. The pattern emerging from chaos, from random gravitational interactions, becomes order, becomes structure, becomes predictable. Like you're breathing now, falling into a pattern, a rhythm, without effort, without thought, just resonating with the natural frequency of rest. Heavier, heavier. Pluto and other Plutonos, objects in orbital resonance with Neptune, have night sides that never see the sun. For months at a time, as they orbit, one hemisphere is in constant darkness. On these night sides, frost feathers form, nitrogen ice, methane ice, carbon monoxide ice, crystallizing in the cold, forming delicate structures, branching, fractal, beautiful, and utterly alone in the dark, unseen. The frost forming in darkness, in silence, in cold beyond imagination, is like thoughts forming in the darkness of sleep, crystallizing into dreams, patterns forming, dissolving, reforming, all in the dark, all unseen. Thump, thump, beneath Europa's icy surface, beneath the cracked shell, there is an ocean, liquid water, kept warm by tidal heating from Jupiter. This hidden ocean, containing more water than all of Earth's oceans combined, has been isolated from the surface, from space, from the sun, for billions of years. What exists there, in that dark, warm ocean, no one knows. The hidden ocean, the secret sea, beneath miles of ice, is like the unconscious mind, deep, dark, containing more than you know, more than you can access, everything hidden, everything flowing, in darkness, in warmth, beneath the frozen surface of waking life. Heavier, heavier, on Shield Volcano, on Mar, on Io, on other worlds, micrometeorites rain down constantly, each impact tiny, insignificant individually, hits the surface. The soft rain of these micrometeorites over millions of years, erodes even the hardest rock, creating the weathered, ancient surfaces we see. That soft rain, barely noticeable, but constant, relentless, is like time itself, wearing everything down, smoothing everything. Eventually, even mountains become plains, even sharp memories become smooth, vague, forgotten, everything worn by time, by patience, by the soft, constant rain of moments. Heavier, Cepheid variable stars pulsate, brightening and dimming with clockwork regularity. The distant heartbeat of these stars, beating once every few days or weeks, serves as a cosmic measuring stick. Their brightness variations, so regular, so predictable, allow us to measure distances to nearby galaxies. That heartbeat, thump, thump, echoing across light years, reaches us, faint but steady, like your own heartbeat, steady, regular, slowing as you sink deeper, everything pulsing in rhythm with the cosmos. Thump, thump, slower now, quieter, fading, but still there, still pulsing, still beating. Around some stars, around some black holes, magnetic fields trap plasma, creating loops, arcs, structures held in place by invisible forces. The thin cry of this plasma, heated to millions of degrees, emitting X-rays, is like a scream, but so high-pitched, so beyond human hearing, that it becomes silence again. Just energy, just radiation, just mathematics. The cry, trapped, going nowhere, just circling in magnetic loops until it finally escapes, or cools, or fades, like worries, trapped, circling in your mind until you finally let them go, release them into the night, into sleep. Heavier, heavier, thump, thump. Red giant stars, old star, swollen and cool, slowly exhale their outer layers, creating planetary nebula. The slow exhale of these dying stars, releasing material that will seed the next generation, takes thousands of years, like breathing out forever. The material drifts away, glowing, creating these beautiful, symmetrical nebulae, shells of gas, expanding, thinning, eventually mixing with the interstellar medium, disappearing. That slow exhale, releasing, letting go, is like the exhale you're taking now, releasing, releasing everything, letting go of the day, of tension, of consciousness, just breathing out and not bothering to breathe back in. Heavier, neutron stars, as with their incredible density, have crusts. The outer layer just below the surface is solid, made of atomic nuclei arranged in crystalline lattices. This crystalline song, if you could hear it, would be the vibration of the crust, ringing from starquakes when the crust cracks under intense magnetic stress. The frequencies too high for human hearing, but they're nonetheless mathematical, perfect, the crystal singing as it breaks, as it reforms, as stress releases, like your own body releasing stress, muscles finally letting go, everything, crystalline, everything, structured, dissolving into chaos, into randomness, into sleep. Thump, thump. At the center of globular clusters, ancient spherical collections of stars orbiting galaxies. The stars are packed densely, separated by light weeks instead of light years. The velvet darkness inside these cores, between the stars, is not truly dark, illuminated by the combined light of 1,000,000 suns. But to our eyes, from Earth, looking at these clusters, we see only a bright, fuzzy ball. The darkness inside, the space between, hidden by glare, is like the space between thoughts, between moments, hidden by the brightness of awareness, but becoming visible now as awareness dims, as the brightness fades, revealing the velvet darkness beneath, heavier. At certain points in space are Lagrange points. Gravitational forces balance perfectly. An object placed at a Lagrange point will stay there, requiring no fuel, no energy, just staying. The gentle tug holding it is the equilibrium of forces, sun and earth pulling equally, creating a point of stillness in the motion of the solar system. That gentle tug, that balance, that perfect point of rest is where you are now, balanced between waking and sleeping, between thought and no thought, between being and not being, just balanced, still, at rest, heavier, heavier, thump, thump. Inside some stars, in a moment of crisis, when the core contracts suddenly, helium fusion ignites explosively. This helium flash, releasing enormous energy in seconds, happens deep inside the star, invisible from outside. The pale fire of this event, seen only in computer models, in calculations, affects the star's evolution, but invisibly, without the flash, the star would die differently, but no one watching would know. The flash happens in darkness, in the deep, in the hidden places where fusion occurs, like insights occurring in sleep, in dreams, processing, happening, in darkness, in depths you'll never see, never remember, but that change you, nonetheless, heavier. The Oort cloud, a theoretical cloud of comets, surrounds the solar system, a spherical shell, beginning far beyond Pluto and extending halfway to the nearest star. The drifting archipelago of these distant bodies, trillions of them, perhaps, moving in slow orbits, taking millions of years to complete, represents the outermost boundary of the Sun's family. These bodies, dark, frozen, separated by enormous distances, drift in silence. Occasionally, one is disturbed, falls inward, becoming a comet, but most just drift forever in the dark, at the edge, forgotten, like old memories, drifting at the edges of sleep, occasionally surfacing, but mostly forgotten, drifting heavier. Thump, thump. When galaxies collide, when a small galaxy passes through a larger one, tidal forces can rip the smaller galaxy apart. The quiet unraveling of these disrupted galaxies, their stars flung out into intergalactic space, creates streams, tidal tails, structures that trace the violence of the encounter. But the violence is slow, graceful even, over millions of years. The unraveling, the dissolution, the loss of structure is like dissolution of self in sleep. The boundaries blur, the structure loosens. What was coherent becomes scattered, distributed, no longer one thing, but many, or nothing, just dissolving, heavier, heavier, near black holes, near neutron stars. Space-time curves so severely that light bends, creating optical distortions. The shimmer of birefringence in this warped space-time creates multiple images, gravitational lensing, light following curved paths. What should be straight becomes curved. What should be single becomes multiple. Reality itself distorted by gravity, by mass, by the curvature of everything, like perception, distorted as you fall asleep. Things seeming multiple when they're single, or single when they're multiple. Time stretching, contracting, space bending, nothing quite real anymore. Heavier, inside massive stars. In their final moments, elements are created. The cold forge where elements are born is actually hot, unimaginably hot, but cold compared to what it was. The star collapses, rebounds, explodes, and in that instant, in the shock wave, in the heat and pressure, nuclei fuse, creating gold, uranium, platinum, all the heavy elements forged in death, scattered into space. The forge, operating for seconds or less, creates everything necessary for life, for planets, for you. The atoms in your body, forged in stellar death, returning now to rest, to stillness, to peace. Thump, thump, heavier, as matter spirals into black holes, into neutron stars. It accelerates, heats, emits radiation. The silent scream of this in falling gas, heated to millions of degrees, releasing X-rays and gamma rays, is the sound of matter meeting its end, crossing the point of no return. But the scream is silent in space. No medium as to carry sound, just light, just radiation, just energy. The scream expressing nothing, heard by no one, meaning nothing, like the thoughts trying to form in your drowsy mind, expressing less and less, meaning less and less, becoming just noise, just static, just silence. Heavier, in molecular clouds, in the densest regions where stars will form, there are organic molecules, PAS, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, complex carbon molecules. These molecules, the faint perfume of space, absorb ultraviolet light and re-emit it in infrared, creating a glow in the dark clouds, the perfume, invisible, unsmellable in vacuum, but there nonetheless, drifting, mixing, becoming part of new stars, new planets, perhaps new life. That faint perfume of creation of chemistry, of complexity, arising from simplicity, is like dreams, arising from the chemistry of sleep, from neurons, firing, creating something from nothing. Heavier, heavier, some binary stars orbit so close, their surfaces touch, contact binaries, where two stars share an atmosphere, orbit each other in hours, the slow pirouette, slow only compared to thought, not to other stellar processes, creates a peanut-shaped system, neither star-independent, but merged, combined, into one system. The dance so close, so intimate, that separation is impossible. They'll either merge completely, eventually, or continue in this contact forever, like body and mind, separate, but not, touching, inseparable, in sleep, everything, merging, boundaries dissolving, until you can't tell what's you and what's dream. Thump, thump on super-Earths, planets larger than Earth but smaller than Neptune, with deep oceans. The sky reflects in the water, creating a mirrored sky. On a calm day, on such a world, if there were days, the ocean would reflect clouds, stars, moons, perfectly, creating a sense of floating between two skies, between earth and heaven, between the mirror, perfect, seamless, above and below, the same, like the state you're in now, between waking and sleeping, where both are the same, where neither exists, just floating between mirrors, heavier, heavier, everything reflected, everything doubled, then fading, some star ejected from their galaxies by gravitational interactions, by supernova explosions, by encounters with black holes, travel through intergalactic space, alone. The lonely vigil of these hypervelocity stars, moving faster than escape velocity, taking them out of the galaxy, into the void between galaxies, is a journey with no return. They'll travel for billions of years through nearly empty space, growing more and more isolated. Eventually, their galaxy of origin will be too far away to see, and they'll be truly alone in the dark between everything, like a thought escaping from your mind, drifting into nothing, never to return, heavier, heavier, gone. When a supernova explodes, the shock wave travels outward, compressing the interstellar medium, triggering new star formation. The soft bruise of this shock wave, marked by glowing gas, by regions of compression, spreads across light years. Like dropping a stone in water, the ripple spreads forever, growing fainter, but never quite stopping. That soft bruise, that mark left behind by violence, becomes, over time, beautiful. A ring, a shell of glowing gas, the mark of ending, becoming, the cause of beginning, everything, cycling, everything, returning, like consciousness, ending each night to begin again, each morning, but for now, ending, heavier, thump, thump. Dark matter, flowing through space, forms streams, rivers of invisible mass, flowing along the cosmic web, The hidden rivers of these dark matter streams pull on galaxies, affect their motion, but remain invisible, undetectable. We know they're there, only through their effects, like knowing wind. Only by seeing leaves move, the streams flow, and have been flowing since the universe was young, ancient, constant, invisible, like the streams of unconscious thought in your sleeping mind, flowing, affecting your dreams, but invisible, unremembered, heavier. In the Kuiper belt, some objects are shaped oddly, tilted strangely. Their surfaces, cliffs of water ice, methane ice, towering thousands of feet high. The frostbitten cliffs of these distant worlds, never seeing sunlight, not real sunlight, only starlight, stand eternal, unchanging, sublime in their isolation. The cliffs, carved perhaps by ancient impacts or by outgassing or by tidal forces, remain frozen, no erosion, no weather to speak of, just standing forever, like monuments to nothing, like thoughts frozen at the edge of sleep, standing meaningless, but somehow important, heavier. Some quasars, quiet now, dormant, will wake again when new material falls into their central black holes. The slow awakening of these dormant quasars over millions of years as gas slowly accumulates and finally begins falling inward, reignites the engine of radiation, of jets, of brightness. But for now, dormant, sleeping, quiet, like you, will wake eventually. But for now, sleeping, quiet, the quasar dreams, perhaps of the matter it will consume, of the light it will emit. But for now, nothing. Just darkness. Just waiting. Heavier, heavier. Thump, thump. When a galaxy passes too close to another, a larger one, tidal forces can strip away its outer stars, its gas, leaving behind only the core. The quiet morning of this stripped galactic core, a galaxy reduced, diminished, stripped of its ability to form new stars, continues to orbit, a ghost of what it was, everything taken by tidal forces, by gravity, by violence made slow. The core, all that remains, orbiting in silence, mourning, perhaps, or simply being without memory, without longing, just existing, diminished, quiet, like consciousness, diminished, stripped, reduced to its core, which is nothing, or everything, or sleep, heavier, exoplanets, planets orbiting other stars, are rich in iron, their cores enormous, their crusts metallic. The trembling crust of these iron-rich worlds, responding to their star's magnetic field, to tidal forces from other planets, creates, if there were anyone to hear it, a low hum, a vibration, felt more than heard, the planet trembling constantly, like a bell, continuously struck, but so gently, so subtly, that the vibration is almost nothing, almost stillness, almost silence, like your body, trembling, at the edge of sleep, muscles releasing, relaxing, trembling, with the effort of letting go until finally, they stop, and there's only stillness, only silence, only sleep. Thump, thump, thump. The universe keeps turning, and the silent vastness of space will hold us, and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, 100 space mysteries, looping softly, endlessly, through the night. Tonight we'll drift through the hidden world, drifting in the void that astronomers swear should exist, but can't quite prove. The faint cosmic murmur that behaves like a star but refuses to shine like one. The invisible tension stretching space so fiercely that it's quietly reshaping the universe itself. And we'll keep drifting, floating together, through the mysteries, heavier, heavier, thump, thump, into the calm, the quiet, the dark. Drifting, always drifting through space, through sleep, through the endless night.